Hey y'all, what's up? It's your girl Rock with another word today. I'm super excited to share with you guys what thus saith the Lord. The top of this word today is called Look Forward to It. My reading is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 25 and 26. I'm going to give you guys a reading, and I pray that the word bless you as it has already tremendously blessed me. And here it goes. It says, He chose to share the oppression of God's people instead of enjoying the fleeting pleasures of sin. He thought it was better to suffer for the sake of Christ than to own the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking forward, in other words, ahead to his great reward. I'm going to say it again. It says, He, who was Moses, chose to share the oppression of God's people instead of enjoying the fleeting pleasures of sin. He thought it was better to suffer for the sake of Christ than to own the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking forward to his great reward. So this scripture is describing Moses' testimony, where Moses understood that the suffering and the oppression that he was going through, in other words, the mistreatment he was going through, the prolonged cruelty that he was going through, the unjust treatment he was going through, the control he was going through, the persecution he was going through, the abuse he was going through, the hardship he was going through, the mistreatment he was going through, the anguish and pain that he was going through, the ruthlessness he was going through, the exploitation of what he was going through, the misery of what he was going through, the tyranny of what he was going through, the oppression of what he was going through. He understood that this was far better to embrace because he knew that this oppression will basically put him in a space where he looks forward to his great reward. He understood that this oppression that he's suffering for not only God's people, but for God's name's sake, will put him in a space that he can look forward to his great reward. And we look at the word reward, it means a thing that is given in recognition of one's service, effort, or achievement. It is his prize. It is his recompense. And look at the word recompense. It means a reward given for loss, harm suffered, or efforts made. So you need to understand that with Moses, he had enough wisdom to understand that his oppression he was going through was not in vain. His suffering that he was going through was not in vain, because he understood that as long as he was going through this for the namesake of the Lord and for the namesake of God's people, he understood that, first of all, this was far better than him getting any pleasures of sin, because in this space of pleasures of sin, it exposes this place of being fleeting pleasures of sin. So he understood that I can get the pleasures of sin all that I want to. I have that option to choose that, but the reality is it's fleeting. Anything you get from a sinful nature is fleeting. It is temporary. It's something that's not long lasting. It has an expiration date to it. He understood that him grabbing hold of this oppression place, although he's going through present suffering right now and cruel suffering right now, it's going to breed him a permanent reward, a reward that he can look forward to, a reward that's everlasting, a reward that will be beneficial to him versus something that will be temporal for him that's going to be fleeting and expiring anyway. He had enough wisdom to not underestimate his place of oppression. He also understood that this thing was also better than his past, because Egypt was an expression of Moses' past. This is where he grew up with. This is what his upbringing was. This is where he could want from nothing. He understood, though, in the space of Egypt, it would not be in a space for him where it would be beneficial to him, in a space where it would override the great reward that God has for him in the space of oppression that he earned to get. He understood that this way of oppression was going to give him the reward that was not only just any reward, but a great reward. And not just any other great reward, but a great reward that's for him. A tailor-made great reward for him. And he understood that this place of oppression was not in vain. And I don't know who this is for today, but I need you to understand that instead of being upset about what you're going through in oppression, you need to look forward to the fact that your space of oppression, your space of suffering, your space of ill treatment, your space of maltreatment is all positioning you in a space where you should be looking forward to your great reward, because your great reward was rewarded and was earned off of your oppression that you have experienced, not only for God's people, but for God's name's sake. What you're going through, as long as it's for God's name's sake now, because again, it's different if you're going through oppression for your own sake or for the sake of somebody else. But if it's for God's benefit and God's name and God's plan and purpose and promise for your life, trust and believe your state of oppression is literally the wages and literally the price you paid to get your great reward. And the thing that I love about the word forward, when I really broke this down, the Lord has shown me this. Not only does forward mean the direction that one is facing or traveling. Again, with Moses, he found himself traveling toward the place that breeds his great reward. He moved toward that. He didn't move away from it. He didn't move aside of it. He didn't move back from it. Because if he was to move back, he'd been grabbing hold to the place of pleasures of sin. He would have grabbed hold to the pleasure that he could have got from his past. But he didn't do that. He looked forward, therefore he moved forward, right? So not only did he face the direction of that which he's traveling to, he's also making progression to something that's going to give him a successful conclusion. He understood that his oppression will put him in a space of successful conclusion, right? A successful end, a successful completion of that which God promised him, right? Another expression of forward also means this: to be concerned for the future. He was concerned about nothing else. He understood that this oppression was a message to him to be concerned for the future. Because I promise you, son, what the Lord was sharing to him, which is what he's sharing to his people today. I promise you, your oppression, your space of suffering is literally putting you in a space of great reward. And I want you to look forward to it. This is a sign for you to look forward to that which God has for you, because that which he promised you is a forward reward tailor-made for you. Another expression of what it is to be forward means to send to another place. In other words, delivering this bless my soul. Because in order for something to be delivered to you, when we look at the word delivered, it means this. It means to bring and hand over to the proper recipient or address. When you move forward, your reward that God has for you off of the space of you, although you've been experiencing the oppression and all that comes with your space of oppression, you need to understand that this is putting you in a space where you should be looking forward towards your great reward, because your oppression paid for that reward, but can only be delivered to you when it could be handed to you. And it can only be handed to you when you are the proper recipient and you're at the proper address. And some of you guys, your reward, you're not seeing it because you're not at the address yet. Your reward, you're not seeing it because you have not been made or fashioned a recipient yet. Your oppression is morphing you to be the exact recipient to get the reward that God has for you. Your state of oppression is also putting you in a space where it's moving you towards your address. God needs to be able to locate you so that the promise and the prize that you paid for, that your oppression paid for, can locate you. But you have to be at that address, and you got to be that recipient to get what God has for you. But you made us the first things first. You already paid for this by your state of oppression and your state of which you've been suffering through the Lord for the Lord's name's sake. And so I want to tell you guys this real quick, because this really, really blessed me, because I had a package that was just delivered. They basically had the projected date that the package would be here November 13th. But I got a message from UPS that the package would actually be here on November 11th. I told them, I said, hey, I have realized that you guys have a package coming a little bit earlier than I expected. Is it possible for you guys to drop the package off without me having to be there to sign for it or be there to retrieve it? Just drop it off at the location and I'll pick it up and hopefully intercept it before somebody tries to take it. Right? The person at the UPS business, you know what I'm trying to say, they basically said, hey, no problem, we'll waive your signature and we'll just drop it off to you, right? Well, then the package comes. I wanted to intercept it by coming in the window in the time it said, but it said between 12:30 and 2:30 it would come at that time. So I made provisions to get there at that time. However, the package didn't come until 3:30, but I was already stuck at work. So I couldn't go and get the package, but they took the package anyway. I called and said, hey, why you guys are not dropping the package off? And I told you guys to drop it off without my signature. I told you it was fine. The woman said, ma'am, you paid too much for this package. This package costs too much to where we cannot afford to have that package come without you being the recipient to be there to retrieve it. You have to be at that address. You have to be the recipient to receive this package because it costs too much and you paid for it. Who am I talking to today? You need to understand that what you went through, your oppression paid for your package. But another thing that this thing is doing as far as the space of oppression, like I just made mention of, is the space of oppression is morphing you to be that recipient. You paid to be that recipient. You paid to be the person that this package is handed over to. You paid to be at that address. And so it makes no sense to pay for something and not show up at the place where God needs you to be, that is on your forward movement and your forward destination to get what God has for you. But you got to be at the address and you got to be the recipient to get what God has for you. And I don't know what this is for today, but I need you to understand that your oppression paid for this great reward. And it paid for you not only to get this reward, but it paid to morph you into being the recipient and being at the address for this reward. And this is far greater than anything you've ever been through in your past. This is far greater than anything you ever experienced. It's far greater than what you will get from a sinful way, because a sinful way will give you something that is fleeting. But the reward that God has for you is a promise-keeping reward from a promise-keeping